Oh, well. The Denver Nuggets starters are playing well, but they are playing a lot of minutes. Is fatigue going to be a thing they have to worry about early in the season? And Ryan and I are going to talk about our ideal bench lineups. If we could build a bench based on what's available, will there be some changes that we would make that Malone hasn't already? And also, will the Denver Nuggets hit their stride? Do we feel a win streak coming? It's time to talk about all that and more here at Locked On Nuggets.
You are Locked On Nuggets, your daily Denver Nuggets podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Yes, sir. Welcome to Locked On Nuggets. This is your host, Swipa. This is your team every day. I am joined by my co-host, my brother, Ryan Blackburn. Y'all, on today's episode, we're going to get into the Denver Nuggets bench, the Denver Nuggets starters, and will the Denver Nuggets be able to put together a nice little win streak here starting this weekend? And y'all, make sure you tap in because today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. You can start the season with a big return on FanDuel. New customers can place a $5 bet, and you'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. Yes, sir, Ryan Blackburn. We are here to talk about the Denver Nuggets. Are the starters getting fatigued? And the reason I asked this question, Ryan Blackburn, you know me. I'm a big Jokic guy, right? Everybody knows this.
Yeah, they do.
I'm big on the best player in the world.
Weird.
But the difference with me is, Ryan, people are like, well, Jokic is going to get tired carrying this load. And I'm like, welcome to the parade. Welcome to the all-time great status. Michael Jordan had to do it. LeBron had to do it. Kareem had to do it. Magic had to do it. Larry Bird had to do it. If you're going to hold that title, Ryan Blackburn, hey, heavy is the head that wears the crown. Ryan Blackburn, do you think that fatigue is something that the Denver Nuggets are going to have to worry about right now at this point in time, this early in the season for the starters?
Probably. They probably will have to worry about it, but that's sort of the song and dance, man. That's how you get ready to go. October basketball is always a little bit different, of course, than April basketball. We think about this a lot, and with the way that the Nuggets had to manage their training camp and their preseason by going to Abu Dhabi, our co-host Matt Moore asked Jamal Murray about this, and he was like, yeah, Abu Dhabi was like, we were tired. We were really tired. And I am not surprised because every team deals with this. Other teams are better at handling it maybe than the Nuggets, but I think Nuggets fans have to fully realize that despite the fact that there are some young pieces, the Nuggets are a veteran team. They're an older team. Like everybody is in their prime or maybe even past their prime at this point outside of Christian Brown, Peyton Watson, and Julian Strawther. So the Nuggets are going to have to deal with this, and that's okay because like I don't think any major takeaways should be had from October basketball in terms of whether Denver can win a championship or not. But I understand why people are concerned and why, hey, guys are playing a lot of minutes right now. But hey, maybe that helps them get into shape faster.
Yeah. Look, I just think that when you're a pro athlete, and, I consider myself a professional at what I do, obviously. You're a professional at what you do.
Oh, yeah.
You knew what the season was coming. I mean, you knew how to plan your schedule accordingly. This is what it is. Ryan Blackburn's been one of the best writers in the Denver media market for some years now. And a part of your job is knowing that you can take a summer break. But once the season starts, Ryan, we expect production from you every single week, if not every day, either digital content, written content, all that. And that's just a part of the job. And I think for this in the same way, you're an NBA player. Like, you're getting paid all this money, but it's not even that for me. It's just for the love of the game. I love competition. I love competing. And I think they're even more competitive than I am in a lot of ways.
Oh, yeah.
So I just expect that Nikola Jokic coming back from Serbia, Jamal coming back from Canada, Michael Porter coming back from Missouri or Seattle, Aaron Gordon coming back from Cali, Peyton coming back from Cali, Christian coming back from Kansas, wherever it might be. This is what it is. This is the job. Russell Westbrook is 36 years old. He'll be 37 soon. And he's going harder than most people in the league on a play-by-play basis, and he takes his body very seriously. And for me, I just think, you know what? Jokic is having to carry a lot. He's averaging 31.5 and 12 and 9 on great efficiency. Well, guess what, Joker? You're going to have to do this until the rest of the team figures it out. And I think for me, that's where I've arrived at this point, Ryan. I think that the reason why Joker is expending this and why he's going to have to, I think eventually the team will catch up to where it's supposed to be. But I just think it's going to take a little bit more time than I think some people are comfortable with.
We've seen this before. We've seen this before from a lot of Nuggets. And we've seen it before from Nikola Jokic, where early in the season he looks like an absolute world beater. He's looking unbelievable, and he keeps setting records in terms of points, rebounds, and assists, and steals and blocks through the first 3 games, through the first 4 games. It'll probably be through the first 6 or 7 games. Like we'll still be hearing things like that throughout the year. But I do think in general, this Nuggets group, they were always going to have some iffy starts just because you're incorporating a bunch of new pieces. Christian Brown, obviously in the starting lineup, he's been a great fit overall, I think, but it's been different. It's been something where it's just you're not going to be running on full cylinders. So in order to make up for that, you got to be expending more energy. You got to be working harder than the opposing team. And the Nuggets, they've been up and down in that. I do think overall the last 2 games are a good, encouraging sign for the direction that the Nuggets are going. But they had to work very hard, and they had to play a lot of heavy minutes. So the hope is that now you can win a game against a tough team while playing heavy minutes. And then the next step is winning a game against an easy team by playing regular minutes. And you just got to go through the progression. So we'll see what happens. But I think this is a good thing for Denver. And I'm not concerned about the heavy minutes early in the season. This is all part of the process.
Yeah, and Ryan Blackburn, again, Locked On Nuggets, shout out to my co-host. I think you have a lot of salient points that you've been making. But when I look at this too, Ryan, I'm just like, this, I think I underestimate it, but I tried not to. But I think integrating Russ and Saric and Christian, they're so distinct in the way they play.
Yeah.
That even for me, I think that's why the bench is just going to take time. It's like, okay, Russ is like way different than like Jamal, Reggie Jackson, or Christian Brown. Like it's functionally a different player. So I even think Michael Porter Jr. the first 3 games when he was struggling to shoot, I feel like it's some of his confidence, but also some of it like the court mapping. It just feels different now. The way they're being guarded is different. And so I think it's just going to take time in order to adjust for that. But I do expect as time goes on that, and I also want to say this too, Michael Porter Jr., we know he works out in the summer. He takes care of his body more than many athletes in the NBA. And even for me right now, why he's not shooting well, I think more so prior to the next game has to do, I think, just figuring out that rhythm. But he's 4-7 from 3. He's in shape. I think on the other end of this too, I think Jamal Murray is continuing to get more and more, I think, reacclimated with the NBA speed and the NBA game. And then obviously, as you said, coming back from Abu Dhabi, that transition was tough for them. But teams around the league are struggling. And I think that's the thing too that's kind of making me be like, I think everybody should just take a little bit of a chill pill. If you look at the league as a whole is like going real up and down right now. I mean, even Boston, who they should have won versus the Pacers yesterday. I mean,
frankly, they should not have won, but
well, they shouldn't have won.
Them back into it,
and then they were down 15, and then they come back, and then they, for some reason, start chucking 3-pointers, missing free throws, and everybody's kind of getting into the rhythm. The Knicks looked really good versus the Heat yesterday. Karl-Anthony Towns has 44 points against Bam Adebayo, but I do think that just everybody trying to find footing, and besides OKC, for the most part, they're just trying to figure out like, okay, like what does our team look like this year? How do we play together? How do we find out our identity in this new system in this new year? And scoring was down across the league and has been down across the league for the most part. And I think that's going to pick up slowly but surely. But I think for me, that's more of a chemistry thing. And I think the Nuggets will get there at some point.
It's just part of the process, man. And like you talked about, the Lakers, they got off to a great start, 3-0. They just got killed by Cleveland. And Cleveland just looked way better than they did. And it's just, again, part of the process. It's not always going to look perfect for every team. The only team, as you said, that's looked really perfect for is OKC. And that's because their elite defenders are just, it's like a wave after wave, and it makes it easy for them to kind of go through their process. So Denver, and not every team has that luxury. So the Nuggets certainly don't. They've got to figure out different ways to win. It's one of the reasons why why people were very high on OKC, why they're very high on Boston, because it's very easy to get through their process and what they want to accomplish. So I think it's going to be fascinating to see how it goes. But for Denver, it's just part of getting up to speed, understanding what it takes. And they were always going to take a little bit longer than people may have expected.
Yeah. On the other side, Ron and I are going to build our master plans for the Denver Nuggets bench. What will our ideal bench look like? How do they win, or at least stabilize, the non-Jokic minutes? We're going to talk about all that and more here at Locked On Nuggets. Get ready to tackle the NFL action with FanDuel's America's #1 sportsbook. Because right now, new customers can bet $5 and get 150 in bonus bets if you win. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL all in one place. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. You'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. That's FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch and make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. We'll be right back for more on Locked On Nuggets. Welcome back here to segment 2 on Locked On Nuggets. This is your host, Swipa, joined by the co-host, Ryan Blackburn. Y'all, if you're listening to this on the Apple iTunes side, give us a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 star review so more and more people can hear about the great things we're doing here at the Locked On Nuggets podcast and the Locked On NBA network as a whole. And if you're watching this and you say, ooh, who are those good-looking sports commentators? The guy with the great hair, the guy with the great voice, the other one that's a little loud. Hey, make sure you like, share, and subscribe. We're on the way to 10,000 subscribers, y'all, and I want to build this Denver Nuggets community. All right, y'all. Let's get it. So, Ryan, I will give you the pleasure to build your ideal Denver Nuggets bench lineup and why you think that's the most ideal Denver Nuggets bench lineup. Muted.
I'm muted. My fault. It is fascinating that we're already kind of at this point where the ideal bench lineup that I was talking about at the beginning of the season was Russell Westbrook, Julian Strawther, Michael Porter, Peyton Watson, or flip those two, and Dario Saric. I was talking about it as, hey, this is ideal. This is what Denver should be wanting to get to early in the season. That lineup has been horrible so far. Like, they're still trying to figure out how to play. And whether it's Dario being slow on the upkeep, Michael Porter and Julian Strawther have been horrible defensively with that group. Russell Westbrook sometimes driving into traffic, not like he's doing too much at times. You have to ask him to do a lot at times with that group. So yeah. I think what we're learning with that one is it may not be the right call. So I think that Denver at this point, they got to find ways to get 2 starters out there. That's just where they're going to have to be. And if you're ideally looking for your 2 signings to stay on the floor, then I think the ideal group is probably Russell Westbrook, Jamal Murray, Peyton Watson, Michael Porter, and Dario Saric. I think that you're staggering both your second and third best player, or second and third best scorer, excuse me. You are doing what you can to give Russell Westbrook a little bit of relief. You're giving some spacing because Jamal's going to play off ball. Michael Porter's going to play off ball. Peyton Watson has to be out there for defense. There's no doubt about that. He will be better defensively going forward. He hasn't been good defensively so far this season. That is, I think, has been kind of surprising to see. And then Dario, I think, still has to be out there. There will be times where they go with Aaron Gordon instead of him. I don't think they should be going to Zeke Naji. But I think if Denver's looking to really win a game, there will be Aaron Gordon in that place. But on a day-to-day, game-to-game basis, that's the group that I would go with.
Say it again.
Russell Westbrook, Jamal Murray, Peyton Watson, Michael Porter, Dario Saric.
Interesting. I'm going to counter you, good sir. See my offer. Russell Westbrook.
Okay.
Julian Strawther.
Okay.
Peyton Watson.
All right.
Michael Porter.
All right.
Zeke Naji.
Okay. Very interesting.
And the variance one that you would want to say, we got to play Dario Saric. Then I'm putting Zeke at the 4, and then I'm putting MPJ, and I'm putting Strawther out there with Russ. Now, okay, here's why. I have long said I'm a defense guy. Ryan Blackburn, not known as a defense guy, but who could expect any different? I have long said that the second unit needs to be a defensively led unit. And the thing about that's made them so successful, and this is on the way to a title, is having versatility with the second unit, meaning they're able to switch 1 through 5. They're able to play very aggressively, and they're able to run. And for me, ideally, Russ with Strawther, with Watson, with Porter and Zeke, everyone in that lineup is ready to run. Everyone in that lineup is ready to go downhill and score. And I think with Julian, with this new Zeke, preseason Zeke, with Michael Porter, there's enough shooting out there. And I think having enough defenders in Russ, Watson, and Zeke, I think it makes all of that work. And the reason why I'm kind of off, again, man, I told you, I get the idea of Saric, but Saric for me just doesn't fit what the Nuggets do best at with their bench. I just think that Zeke has shown that he has, honestly, like, he can play really well, when he's healthy, when he's locked in. I remember the Memphis game last year. He had a really big and important defensive game last year. There's some things that he does he's just better than Dario at. And I think if you're telling me he's going to floor space too, and he's just more athletic, that's just more valuable than I think what Saric brings to this team. And, some of this is about building up his value, building up his confidence and stuff as well. But like I said, if Saric has to play, I still want another big out there that can play a little bit of defense. I just don't trust him, at all. Like, Dario doesn't have anything, especially defensively, that helps me at all. But I will say, bro, I think if you gave Russ, Strawther, MPJ, and then on top of that, you gave him Zeke who can hit shots, you put all that together, I think that's enough shooting for Russ. I think that Zeke is enough of a vertical athlete in some ways, but more so a popper. It's just a better fit for me than Saric would be.
I'm willing to see what Zeke can do. I'm not married to the idea that Dario is the guy by any stretch of the word, clearly. Like, Dario has been horrible to start the first 4 games here. And the Nuggets have to, I think, understand that this is really valuable time and understanding whether they want to be like Russ's identity or if they want to change that identity and go away from Russ. Like, I think, because we talked about on a different platform, Mile High Sports, that are we sure that Russ and Dario are even a fit to play together? Yeah. And I think that it's a fair question that he may just, like, Dario just might be too slow to keep up with what Russ wants to do. And Russ might be too frenetic and like unpredictable for Dario specifically. I think that there's like both of those are very strong possibilities. I do want to make a note. I didn't include Julian Strawther in my bench lineup, my ideal bench lineup, because I think he needs to play with the starters as frequently as possible. If Michael Porter is going to stagger, and potentially if Jamal Murray is going to stagger too, you need spacing out there. So it's not me saying that Strawther's not worthy of playing that bench group. It's just that he needs to be out there. And I think that playing with Jokic, he could get a lot of good stuff.
By the way, we did not mention Jalen Pickett was assigned to the Gold.
Not a surprise, and a good place for him. Like, he needs to get reps. He needs to get confidence.
Hunter Tyson, is he next?
I don't know. I don't know if they have the flexibility to even go that direction. Like, Trey Alexander's clearly over Jalen Pickett in the depth chart right now. Can you really justifiably say that Vlatko or Zeke or whoever is definitely over Hunter Tyson in the depth chart? I'm not sure.
You think Zeke is in the same convo as Hunter Tyson for Malone?
Yeah. Zeke was the 15th man in the first Boston game.
No, I know, I get it, but like it's just we'll talk about this on the other side a little too, because this will go into are they going to hit their stride? I just think that like there's a philosophical thing that I think like the Nuggets are like they were on the right path 2 years ago, and then they've diverted from that a little bit. But we can talk about that a little bit on the other side here at Locked On Nuggets. Welcome back to the final segment here at Locked On Nugget. This is your host, Swipa, with your co-host, Ryan Blackburn. Thank y'all so much for being here today. We are in the final segment. And to finish up this last segment, Ryan Blackburn, I think that Zeke Naji has fallen a little bit too far. And again, I know there's some behind-the-scenes stuff that we're not aware of, and so who knows how deep that goes. But if you're telling me that the conversation between Hunter Tyson and Zeke Naji, I've seen Hunter play. I've seen Zeke play. Zeke is just a better basketball player than Hunter Tyson. And they need to build up his confidence for many different reasons, but I just think that there's a way for them to utilize him. And also, too, the identity that they discovered was, oh, hey, the more athletic we make this roster, the better it is. The more athletic the team is around Joker, the better it is. And they did that with Jeff Green, KCP, Bruce Brown. Well, okay, now they added Russ, which is great, but then now they added Hunter Tyson and then Jalen Pickett, who just went to the G League, and then Vlaco's a decent athlete, but obviously, torn ACL and all that stuff. They just need like real defenders and real athletes at that 4 spot, and the only person on that roster that fits that is Zeke for me.
Also, here's the problem that you run into a little bit. You said that Zeke is a capable shooter. We're still waiting on that proof. And he's got the burden of proof here. Yes, he had a couple nice games in the preseason. And I think that there is a possibility that he can hit those shots. But we have a lot of evidence over the course of these past couple of years that the reliability there isn't there. The willingness to take that shot isn't there. And maybe it gets back to it. Maybe he shows it. But the burden of proof is on him. It's not on Michael Malone. It's not on anybody else to show necessarily that he's got to be out there. I do agree with you that the defense is important, but when you talk about the offense with hypothetically, you put Peyton Watson and Zeke Naji on the floor at the same time and Russell Westbrook, that defense is good. The offense, I'd be a little bit concerned.
Oh, is it going to be worse than a 60 with Dario in it? It's going to be worse?
Early season results.
No, early season.
I expect Dario to bounce back, man. I really do. I think that he's going to get better.
You want him to bounce back for your agenda.
That the Nuggets didn't make a completely insane decision. Absolutely.
They made it at the time. He got out of the rotation for Kevon Looney and Trace Jackson Davis with the Warriors. The only time he played
for them, and he's been pretty good.
Yes, and they benched Looney. They benched Looney for Trace. And Looney had issues. Their offense fell apart. Dario would play with them primarily when he was on the court with one of those other players. Like, Dario got out of the rotation last year for a reason. Again, he's a good NBA player. It has nothing to do with him as an overall player. It's his fit. He doesn't have any redeeming quality for this roster other than passing the ball conceptually, shooting the ball conceptually. Well, guess what? They're not conceptually playing defense on them anymore. And again, I don't know who the Croatian is and all that stuff, or whoever in the comment section, but I'm just telling you this right now. Sarge has been not great, but he also has been bad in the things he's supposed to be good in. And this is what I'm saying. How long is the leash? Because if we get another, by the way, Ryan Blackburn, how bad is it going to be? Who did the Denver Nuggets play, Ryan Blackburn, on Friday?
The Minnesota Timberwolves.
Oh, who's the backup 4-5 for the Minnesota Timberwolves?
Naz Reid, baby.
Oh, so this is what they're going to do. They're going to play drop coverage, or they're going to play the step and repeat, show and recover defense. And then Dario's going to have to move his feet to get on J-Mac, Ant, Naz Reid, Mike Conley, maybe even Luka Garza. Yo, do you know how bad this could get in those non-Jokic minutes if he gets Naz Reid matched up with him, and then on the other end, he gets to the other side and cannot score on Naz Reid? And again, Grace, I love Grace. She's my homie. I love Grace. We family. Absolutely. I get it's longer than 4 games. I'm just saying win is the win. It's like when you go to Italian place, y'all, and y'all they be like pouring the cheese all over your spaghetti. Like, say win. How much longer, Malone? The cheese is stacking up. It's a lot of cheese. It's a little bit too much cheese. When are we going to get a win?
No such thing, baby. Ain't no such thing as too much cheese in an Italian meal. Let's go. No, here's what I'll say. 10 games. Give it 10 games. It's not that long. It's really not. Denver has to have some like patience here. Can you possibly like make these massive sweeping determinations? I just did a podcast on MHS called Overreactions. Like, this is an overreaction. I know you're putting it on for the show. I understand it.
No, I'm not. No, Dario. I said this in the offseason. So you're having to convince me, Ryan. I was already here. So that's not even confirmation bias. This is just, I watched basketball with my eyes open last year, and then I looked at this team, and then I said, Dario Saric. But hopefully he gets better.
Zeke Naji last year had like a -30 net rating on him.
Oh, net rating, net rating, y'all. Oh, no.
They could not play him, man. They couldn't play him. And I am open to the possibility that it changes this year, but I just want to
I think Jamal Murray has a negative net rating without Joker.
There's a reason for that because Zeke couldn't catch the ball. So
what's Dario catching right now?
These hands. That's all he's No, so I mean, look, everybody's begging for a backup center solution for Denver, and it might be Dario. It might not be Dario. It might be Zeke. It might not be Zeke. My guess is that it's neither of those guys, and it's Aaron Gordon, and that will be what in the playoffs.
If you make Aaron Gordon, if you make my friend and brother from Cali, Aaron Gordon, played a backup 5 all year, Ryan, I am absolutely spamming your inbox every day until you yourself write a trade directly to the Orlando Magic for Wendell Carter Jr. It's not going to happen.
Dude, get your head out of the cookie jar, man. Oh my God. Jesus, what is that? Ain't no way. You can't go from Ayo Dosunmu to Wendell Carter Jr.
No. They're not getting that. Ayo's possible. He's not finishing games for them. He's not finishing games for them. He deserves better. That's crazy. That's insane to me. Insane.
Oh my gosh. No, they'll be fine. It's gonna be okay. Look, they still got one of the best starting lineups in the league. The net rating for the starters is like 11.8 right now.
Crazy.
It's really good.
And it's going to get even better once they figure out like their rhythm and all that stuff too.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think they're going to be fine there. It is about survival with that second unit, and Denver can survive. Russ can do some good things creating shots for other guys. If you stagger Murray and Porter, Denver's going to be fine. They'll be okay.
How are they performing right now with Dwight Howard with the backup 5?
Pretty badly. Dwight ain't got nothing. If you think that DJ is like maybe a little bit over the hill with what he's doing, just wait until you see Dwight.
The Denver Nuggets starting 5, by the way, has already played 104 minutes together, and that is 21 minutes more than anyone else in the league.
It's a lot, and it's
why
I want them to break it up. I really do. It's why I keep talking about staggering, man. It's why I keep talking about it.
That's insane, bro. We're already headed to. They were 500 more than the next closest group, or 400 last year.
So part of the reason for it, by the way, is that Denver, they'll play 6 minutes at the beginning of the first quarter, beginning of the third quarter, and then the last 6 minutes at the end of the second and fourth quarter. So that's 24 a game, basically, every single time. To me, that's not that crazy based off of the way the Nuggets run their rotations. They just have to make sure that in between that they don't suck. And they're still trying to figure out how. I think that one thing that they could help with is rather than go 6 minutes, they should go 5 minutes and just try to break up some of those groups and give a little bit more. Would
you bring Julian in or Westbrook first?
Julian every single time, because I want to see him play with Jokic. I want to see him get threes off.
Julian for who in that lineup, you think?
Mike. Because Mike's got a stagger. That's what you want, right?
When are we going to get the all wing lineup? Julian, Christian, AG, Mike, Jokic.
The minute an injury happens to one of Russ or Jamal, the minute one of those guys don't play will be the minute that we get that group.
Imagine a Julian Strawther on-ball performance where he plays primary creator and point guard for like 2 minutes.
I would look forward to it, man. And here's the
Me
thing.
too.
I think that Denver should try to get to things like that. They should try to be resting these guys as much as they possibly can.
Yeah.
Whenever they have an opportunity to do so, Murray should get a game off. MPJ should get a game off. Aaron should get a game off, especially. Like, these guys got to get some breaks. And I think that putting Strawther, especially into situations where he has to learn and grow, that is a great thing for the Nuggets in the playoffs.
I think if Julian can grow into a combo guard, that would be the most ideal outcome for the Nuggets. To have that kind of spacing and scoring at the primary, like 1-2, dribbling the ball and creating and then being able to pass. Like, you know, Julian, I'm looking at him, man. He's been efficient this year. He's just been on really low volume. His defense, like especially his off ball and like communication defense has not been great. But I think there are strides to be made for him, and I'm actually excited to see what they look like.
Me too. I want to see what he can do. He's one of the higher ceiling guys for Denver. Peyton Watson, it's another thing that they really need to kind of figure out. I like that he played 20-plus minutes last game. I think that he needs to try to get above 20 as consistently as possible. But if that was just a second night of a back-to-back thing, so be it. But got to play him a little bit more consistently, get him into some of those groups with Jokic if they can, and try to vary some things up.
So I'm not going to see them all. Game predictions: Minnesota Timberwolves, Denver Nuggets.
I mean, I'm just going to keep predicting Denver loses each of these, and they'll keep winning. That's what happens on Twitter.
Yeah, I think I got the game being 111-107 Timberwolves.
I don't think it's going to be that close. I honestly think that Denver, the problem that they're going to run into is that when Russ comes in, he's going to be defended by Nickeil Alexander-Walker or Jaden McDaniels, or one of these like on-ball defenders, or they might just have Rudy Gobert guard him and be like, yeah, we're just going to roam off of you. And hey, if Russ continues to make outside jumpers, then great. That'll really help Denver. If he doesn't, and he goes like 1 of 6, 1 of 7 from 3, that'll be pretty rough. And then not to mention, like, Denver's starting unit is not going to be that successful against Minnesota starting unit.
Says who? Have you watched them play this year? Their defense has been blah.
Yeah, but I think
Julius Randle.
Here's a good test case, because Rudy Gobert can't hide on Aaron Gordon as much this year because he has Julius Randle guarding Jokic then as opposed to Karl Anthony Towns. How does that work? Maybe they'll try it, and maybe Julius Randle will do a good job against Jokic. I kind of don't think he will, but if he does do a good job, then that's something that Denver will have to navigate.
Let's make a bet then, Ryan, on the game per FanDuel bet. I'm betting they win tomorrow now because Ryan said what he said. Ryan's betting they lose. Ryan, you got to do the Thomas Shelby haircut if they win the game.
Oh man, nobody wants to see a fat guy in a Thomas.
No,
Shelby.
you're underplaying. You're underplaying. Thomas Shelby haircut, y'all. It's on the books. Y'all know what time it is. This is Locked On Nugget. This is Ryan Blackburn. This is Swipa. Y'all, let us know in the comment section, what do you think the ideal bench is for you? Do you think fatigue is the thing for the Denver Nuggets? And give us your predictions for the Denver Nuggets versus Minnesota Timberwolves. Y'all, Locked On Nuggets, building great content, great community. See y'all on the other side.